Logan, you let me know, yeah? Good. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Skopje, and welcome to the first panel of the 25th edition of PIN Conference. We are going to talk about the fact that Skopje is going to be culture capital in 28, which is quite soon, and it's of course something that comes with a lot of privilege and pressure at the same time. My name is Lena Ingwersen. I'm the Managing Director of the Music Cities Network. Some of you might have seen me here in 22 and 23. Now I have been returning here. I'm working with 16 cities worldwide to improve the culture policies and the music ecosystems in the cities. And Skopje to become a European capital of culture is of course something that is a great opportunity, but of course comes with a lot of planning, governance, and community building that goes with it. I'm very, very excited and grateful to be here with amazing, knowledgeable colleagues of mine that either have been hosting or planning culture capitals and or on the verge of it, and or come from a more holistic bird's eye perspective, university research perspective, and governance perspective. With no further ado, I want to just do a short round of introduction from all of you, and then we're going to dive right in, because the idea today is really to do a real talk, to hear where Skopje is at and what are the challenges, and what also Skopje as a soon-to-be culture capital can learn from do's and don'ts of the other cities, and also listen in to people that are currently planning it. Yeah, so Sarah, please, who are you?
Yeah, it's great to be here. I think it's my 4th year, and it's really nice to see all the familiar faces. I think this panel is very important, so I'll just give a short brief about who I am. I've been in art and culture field for over a decade now. I was program director for Novi Sad, European Capital of Culture, and doing partnerships currently for the organization. I also lived in the Middle East and worked in the cultural field over there for around 8 years actually, and I helped a little bit the guys from Nikšić with their ECOG bid and UNESCO Creative Cities Network application, what I did for Novi Sad as well in the field of media arts, so that's
Thanks.
Brief background.
Yeah. So perspectives of having hosted and programmed one culture capital, as well as a lot of different expertises in the current times as well. Mato.
So my name is Mato Uljarević, and it's nice to be in Skopje for the first time. I'm an artist, and I was involved in making the candidacy of Nikšić for the European Capital of Culture, one of the people who initiated it, and it was in the moment when Skopje won and Montenegro city Budva lost. So it was then the idea came, what will be the next city that Montenegro will apply with. And we did the process in the last 2 years, and in October this year we won the title. And in October this year we also, thanks to Sara of course and her help, we won the UNESCO City of Music title. So we are pretty fresh and happy to be here.
Yeah, very nice to meet you too. Balázs. Did you know, Balázs, I have checked the last 2 times I have been here, we have always been on a panel together. This is our 3rd.
Really?
Yes. I just realized in my notes, isn't this beautiful?
I bring a present next time. Yes, I'm Balázs Weyer, and basically we, as a company called Hangvető, we work independently with several European Capital of Cultures and also UNESCO Creative Cities. So we are also involved with these 2 areas. Our main European Capital of Culture project was obviously Veszprém in 23 in Hungary, where we were responsible mainly for the music-related programs. but we develop programs also for other cities, either in the bid book phase or later. So it's, and we've been following the Skopje case also from the very beginning, like many, and we are, as we speak, we are also working on other ones. So yeah, I kind of have this overview mainly about how cities tend to, oh, what's the nice word? Not to say fuck up.
Real talk today. It's okay.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, but also best practices. That's a nicer word too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Violetta.
Yes. Well, it's really very emotional for me because after 8 years, I'm invited first time in Macedonia to speak about the cultural field. Thank you, Login, for that, and thank you, Lena, for this brief discussion before this panel. Just briefly to introduce myself, I'm Violeta Semjanovska, and I'm from Macedonia, and I have been working here for not exactly years. I will not give you 20 plus. You know, when we are writing the CV, 20 plus, because I'm realizing that we're getting old. Those who were starting in the new country after fall of Yugoslavia. So we were a few of us. I can see also in the public there was few people who really started the first independent initiative here in Macedonia. So working in the field for 20 plus years, I was running a performing arts center. I was initiating a lot of advocacy projects that kind of created the culture policy dialogue in Macedonia. And also, at the moment, I'm working at the University of Arts, Sibelius Academy. I'm a head of arts management department, running two master programs. One is in arts management, creative entrepreneurship, and music business. And I'm a professor and a lecturer, and I'm also author of a few books. The last book just out, it's about cultural and creative industries in the Western Balkan for Rutledge. So I will stop here.
Yeah.
So I'm today, yes, it's always really tricky to introduce myself. I'm also now representing the Finnish institution, university, but also my heart is with Macedonia. So I'm really very glad to be here and have a critical kind of discussion about the situation with the ECOC in Skopje.
Yeah. Where we will dive right in now, because in our pre-talks and also in everything that we have been talking about with Logan, informally, you know, one thing, yeah, Logan wished for us to do really a real talk and just be to the point and honest how the things is happening at the moment. One thing I was like just trying to imagine if there are any questions or words that you are not like, if there's anything unclear, please raise your hand. I will try to see you because it's very dark there, but like people might help to shine a little bit more light on you. Because one thing, the term bid book, I feel is also something that might not be so familiar for some of you. It's something that you write, the application that you write to become a culture capital. European Capital of Culture is bid book, and then you need to fill in different statuses and to become or to be acquainted and appointed a culture capital. I just wanted to explain that word because it was named. And we will dive into different areas and really go hands-on in terms of, you know, when you think about a culture capital, you can think about, you know, why this is important. You know, we want to look into like a governance perspective, funding as well. We want to look into program and inclusion, like how do you do this? Infrastructure, what needs to be, what not. But also we want to do, and that's also from my perspective as dealing with a lot of music cities worldwide, you know, it's always good to have an event like that, but what stays? For me, this is one of the important things. What is the legacy about these, and how can you make this really lasting for the people in the city? And I want to give the first word to you, Violetta, because as a Macedonian now here, and that we don't have a like current voice of the government or someone involved in the planning, which is also interesting. And we know that you have a couple of insights. Let us know what we are at in Skopje. What do you know? And yeah, what are we dealing with?
Well, first of all, I would like to make clear that I was not involved in the process of creating the bid for Skopje Culture Capital. I had some individual discussion with some of the people who were part of that process. But from the other side, I would like to mention, I didn't mention when I introduced myself, that I'm working also as an expert for Creative Europe and European Commission. And I was involved in 1 year for evaluation of those bids for cultural capitals. So I know the process of evaluation of those bids from different perspective. But speaking about Skopje, of course, I'm personally interested how this possibility, great possibility for the city, it's handled. And I don't want, when the logging invited me, we said we are not going to criticize. We know that it's a mess with this bid. The situation, current situation, it's not very bright. But just briefly for those who are first time in Macedonia and those who do not know what's going on, when I was preparing myself for this speech, I was trying to find some information on the web pages. There is very limited information. So first kind of points is that the transparency it's very low. Secondly, I had a brief information discussion today with the person who is responsible for cultural field in the city of Skopje and also member of this committee that exists at the moment. And I got a really kind of a positive feeling that there is a will of improving the things. And now the question is how we can improve. Just to briefly contextualize this, so those who are first time in Macedonia, the political context in Macedonia at the moment, we have complete power from the Demo-Christian Party, VMRO. They are leading the national government, and also they recently, Macedonia had local elections, and they won, I think, more than 90% of the municipalities, including Skopje. City of Skopje, which has 10 or 12 municipalities. So they have complete power. I'm not going backwards now what's happened and why we are in this situation where even the candidacy, I'm just now sharing something that I heard from Brussels, that many people in Brussels ask what's going on with Skopje. They ask me personally also, do you know what's going on with Skopje? Obviously there was some critical points, and I think we're in the very critical point now with the whole process. But again, I want to emphasize that this talk that I have this morning give me a hope, and I hope that this debate actually can lead us to some kind of directions of how we can handle and how we can go, and how Skopje actually can capitalize this great possibility. So first of all, I would like to go into the context of this culture capital. Why and why culture is important for the city. And I would like to mention that I have really kind of radical view on this. And I would like to mention one concept of radical creativity. Why radical creativity? The situation in Skopje is that we have the Ministry of Culture, the structure I'm talking, and this is applied in the municipality level. So we have people, the structure, the bodies who are deciding how public money are shared. And usually this is a system that we inherited from Yugoslavia, and not much it's changed in between. There is some legislation change, but the institution that exists, they are absorbing majority of the public funds. And in the meantime, there was some support from foundations. The independent art scene started to grow up in the 90s. But unfortunately, at the moment, the situation in Macedonia, it's very scary in a way. I'm talking about the independent scene and independent people and private also sector in the culture, because they're not getting public support, and they're important part of the cultural life. And in the same time, there is the NGO that started 20 years ago. They are the same. And the main question is actually how we are dealing with the audience, why we are doing those projects, where the money are going for culture, and what is the impact of this? How many people, what is the participatory approach? How those projects are reaching the audience? If you ask people who are going on the street, when you were last time visiting theater or concert or something that brings kind of quality of your life, I'm pretty sure that many people will answer 10, 15 years ago, or etc. So that is the crucial point, and that is why I want to contextualize this and put on the philosophical level what needs to be done in Skopje. Radical creativity. The concept, what I mean by that. Creativity, if we understand creativity as an ability, human ability to create something novel, meaningful and useful, radical creativity is a concept that apply to shifting paradigms. So we need to really shake the system that exists here. And this actually possibility of city of Skopje to get this culture capital kind of status can help in this shifting the paradigm in the cultural field. So what can be done? I would, from my perspective, I would really like to emphasize that, first of all, and now I'm going on the operational level, what needs to be done. First of all, there is no entity that exists at the moment who is responsible. So the responsibilities are blur. Nobody knows who is responsible for what. This, second, the whole expertise that exists in Macedonia, not only in Skopje, needs to be absorbed here, now, today, starting, developing, and starting to make a plan for implementation. So this means project management literacy, EU funds, grants literacy, digital literacy, leadership, sustainability, green management, etc., etc. So it's a complex process. We are in the situation that's very weak independent scenes, very kind of old-fashioned public institution with some exceptions. So what to do? We have now, example, this conference, it's one example. It's an isolated island in Skopje. It's so vivid, and we cannot see people from the public bodies. So this speaks a lot, that those initiatives are isolated islands. And there is, I know that there is a creative potential, that it's not used. The creative potential in Skopje and in Macedonia is not used. Of course, many people, we moved because we got tired of these processes, and why I moved from Macedonia, for example, because I really spend a lot of energy convincing the Ministry of Culture to change the paradigm, to change the system, and to change the understanding why culture is important for our lives. And of course, I went to academia,
Yeah.
which is kind of a normal after 20 plus years of working in the field. So this is the main point, and of course, bringing the people and then creating the really plan, capacity. We need really capacity now to choose the people, and if we do not have in Macedonia enough, and I'm pretty sure that there will be gaps in the capacity, the capable people who can lead this process, we need to export from outside. We need, today we're having people who have great experience with Novi Sad, Nikšić, many other cities. Bring people here in Skopje. We have Login, we have Pece Talevski, we have many people who are really capable of doing things. So we need to involve those people, but not only as a decoration of the framework, but to be involved in the decision making as well.
Yeah.
When I'm talking about participatory approaches, I'm not talking putting two people from the marginalized group to LGBT, to Roma, to Albanians, Turks or whatever, Macedonians, and then again a top-down decision. But I'm talking that everybody to be heard, and then in that way we can bring the cultural projects near to the citizens. And then the benefits will be greater, because the people will have benefit of it. Yeah. Not only Skopje did something and then again the same audience, the same public, which goes to Museum of Contemporary Art or Jazz Festival, and that it's. I'm talking about people who are living in Skopje, in
Absolutely.
different neighborhoods. And of course, using public space as not only the institution that exists, all those institutions, actually the institution we are today, it's quite empty, as you can notice. This festival now makes alive And but in meantime, before and after, it's empty.
Thank you,
I will
Violetta.
stop here.
We will come back to many of those points that you have shared with us now, and thank you for like setting the tone and setting the stage for what are we dealing with. I want to give the word to Sarah and then Balázs as well. Like how does it make you feel when you hear this, and how can you connect it with the governance structures? Let's stay on the governance level, and like how was the setup in Novi Sad when you were working there?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say, Violetta, thank you so much for an in-depth introduction and overview of how things are here, and I think you mentioned some extremely crucial points for every European capital of culture. Now Skopje is in this situation, but it's not good, but also it's not the only city which kind of started late, so I'm hopeful that it can shake up and that it can still deliver a good year. And what is even maybe more important than the year itself is the capacity building that is going to happen and the fact that what's going to remain after. So maybe the title year in this case, maybe it will be good, maybe it will be great, maybe it won't be that great, but what we need to think about is what happens afterwards, because it's again something that European Commission is asking us to deliver and to put a lot of focus on. And regardless of that, which is very important to stand up for what we promised to do, is also what people have. Because I think still European capital culture is there to open minds of the people who live in the city, to give them different perspectives, to give them different opportunities, and to create this intercultural exchange between different European countries and not only European countries, but also beyond, because I think that's one of the new perspectives of ECOX. And well, since Skopje, as I understood, still didn't form a proper organization that will lead the project, I think that's crucial and the most important thing to do, not tomorrow, but yesterday. But since the situation is as it is, I think it should be the most pragmatic approach, like in relation to how things are in the city, because I think every city has some specifics which are, and also different governance models. What Novi Sad did was the most suitable model for our city. And that was a foundation which is that's founded by the city, like a sister company of the cultural center, which is also funded and founded under the city itself. But it had more independence than, for example, an institution in terms of how we procure artists, how we do open calls, how we also hire staff. It was much more flexible because the project requires some kind of creativity and flexibility. And I would suggest to assess what model would be most applicable to the situation in Skopje and to how things are run here, but also compared to other European capitals of culture. Give a few examples of how different cities did their title year and beyond, and go according to that. Of course, you have to have expertise. That's the most important thing at this moment. But I'm not going to talk way too much. There are other speakers as well. Giving the floor to...
We will come back to you. There will be more questions. Balázs, I'm wondering, in your time when you were planning and executing it, how was the setup in Veszprém?
It was also, it's not a foundation, but it was an independent company created by the city and actually like 100 other municipalities, because it was a regional approach. So every village in the region had a stake in the company. So yes, it was independently managed from the municipality. And I think also what was I think the most positive about it, that in most cities, the team who develops the vision, which wins the title, it's usually very soon after the winning is replaced. And that's probably the quickest way to failure in most places. I mean, luckily in Veszprém, the team remained more or less intact. The bidding team kind of managed the whole thing around, and they are still involved in the legacy part. So there, for us, that was the most important thing, that the vision remained intact all along.
Mm-hmm. And Matu, what are the plans for you? Like, we are talking about your city being culture capital in 2030, so 2 years after Skopje. Yeah, what do you think, or when you hear the stories now, and when looking at your plans?
We are currently we have this lucky situation that we have good political stability on a local and national level, and we have positive intentions from all of these levels to start working with founding the organization as soon as possible. We have the small team which did the application, and we hope that we will stay there, and we expect to stay there and to be joined by a few other people. And as Balázs said, this is maybe especially important in the context of the countries of our size, where you don't really have a lot of people that are involved in this kind of project, so you really need to preserve the individual knowledge of people, and if you build them for a few years, they become pretty valuable for the sustainability of the project.
Yeah.
So I think that in our countries, these kind of projects really depend on a few people that want to get involved and want to merge their life with these kind of projects. What I would say is that is something that I can relate probably with Skopje. What is the most important thing for us now to start working on time, but also what is important for Skopje probably is the question of expectations. So we as a team have some expectations from the project. The municipality has some expectations, the national government has some expectations, Europe has some expectations, artist scene has some, and the people, all of the people in the city have expectations, and these are all different expectations. And the most important thing is to try to explain to all of these different stakeholders what this project is, what it can be, what it can solve, what it cannot solve. For example, we become the European capital of culture, and the next day people stop us on the street and say, how is it possible we are European capital of culture and there is garbage on this street, and there is turbo folk music on why is this like this? How can we be the European capital of culture? If from the start you don't know how to manage this negative approach from the people or the artistic scene, then in one moment you get too much negativity and you come to a problem. So I think that this is maybe one of the biggest challenges to manage, and to understand if there is people now here, I don't know the structure of the audience, but from the artistic scene of Skopje or from the municipality, or everybody needs to understand that it can be a problem solver for everything, and that it cannot, of course, transform how the system in our country works, the cultural system, but it can be, as Sarah said, one maybe small initiative that later in the legacy has this big effect of transformation. So I think that's what the ECOC is about. If how you can measure success, you need to know what you want to do with it. It needs to be pretty concrete, it cannot be everything, and it's not logical to be everything. It will be a failure if you want to have everything solved by it. You need to have concrete problem, concrete ways to solve it, and then to hope that it will spread and make big change.
Yeah.
If I just may add on to this, because you touched upon some quite important things. What I think, what we did in Novi Sad, and I think it's Nikšić as well, there is this 10-year strategy for culture, and that's great paper, and that gives you different ways of how you can really expand it and move forward cultural initiatives. So it's not only like a title year and really nice projects happening, during that short period of time, but how it can actually transform culture in the city. But now the greatest challenge for our countries which don't have strong cultural ecosystems and systems is how to make it sustainable and how to merge the paper in the practice, how to implement it, how to monitor it. And I think that should be like a couple of experts or people who are pretty much only focused on making sure the cultural strategy will actually really realize itself and that it will continue to be.
Yeah.
So just wanted to add that.
Balázs, you look like you would like to contribute there.
I think that's one of the most general mistakes that cities make. One is that the ECOC title it's not a postcard or a PR move to show how great our city is. Maybe at the very beginning, when the first European capital of cultures were Athens, Firenze, Amsterdam, whatever it was, but by now it's much more about a vision to transform the city, and that also means that it's not so much. It shouldn't be so much targeted, I think, to the outside world to show our greatness. It should be targeted at the inhabitants of the city. It's about them. They will be stuck there with the city for longer after the golden year of the city. So I think most of the programs, most of the developments should be approached from a legacy perspective because of that. So that's the most important, and that those are not always the most spectacular ones. Mm-hmm. So I know cities where the flagship program was to invite the mayor's favorite, very expensive band, but that won't help on the long run. Little things, micro developments, they are not so popular, obviously, with the municipalities because they are not flashy
Not so
and
flashy,
not useful to brag about.
Yeah.
But those are the ones that transform a city if accumulated in numbers.
Yeah, I feel what you all touched upon or what made me think is really, it's not, you can treat the European Culture Capital, you can't treat it only as a award or a title, it needs to be seen culture as an ecosystem, and the whole thing, what you touched upon as well. And you made actually the perfect transition to another topic I want to deep dive. We touched upon it already, but like programming and inclusivity, you touched, Violetta, you touched upon it already. In order to make it work, we need to have inclusive community programs and like stay locally. And I wanted to hear some examples. What was something you look back, Balázs, what worked in Veszprém? What was a project, a community-run project that is maybe still running until today?
I mean, no doubt there is need for big symbolic events that serve like memory anchors, slated and identity markers. But those are just that, memory anchors. So the smaller ones. Actually why I love this European Capital of Cultures thing and also the UNESCO Creative Cities thing is because cities are the most important scenes of our lives. I mean, these days, most of the people in Europe at least, but most of the world, live in cities. So when we talk about cities, we talk about basically our everyday lives. And what evolutionary speaking art has served as a glue of the people, a community cohesion tool, and that has been a bit lost with modernization and urbanization, because now we live in bigger communities than before, in communities that are bigger than we can all know each other. So we've been looking for projects that kind of bring back this aspect of art into the everyday lives, which is not always art. It's culture. One of my most favorite ones from Veszprém was we called it the long table picnic, which was like a 3-kilometer long table, yeah, where the inhabitants of the city could eat together. Referring back to what I said about evolution, actually eating together, that was one of the basic evolutionary needs of people. I don't know if you know, but the biggest oxytocin producer in our brains is sharing food with each other, music, the hug of your mother, and orgasm. So, so these have, I mean, from the other two, the hug of your mother and orgasm, if you compare it to, you can imagine how important evolutionary is music and sharing food. So basically, we were focusing on music and sharing food, not the other two, in our programming. So this one was, on the one hand, really spectacular, also memorable for the inhabitants, and actually it's keep happening once a year since. And music-wise, we were also obviously producing big events and festivals, and but also a lot of smaller events. But I think the most useful was, and it's also still going on, is that our aim was to make Veszprém the city where the biggest proportion of inhabitants in Europe play an instrument. Because playing music, actually, it has also more, even better hormonal effects and mental health effects on a person than listening to music. So we created a music school where anybody, adults, whatever. So it was not a school for professional musicians, a music school for everyone, anyone. And we made a survey that people who would like to play an instrument, why they don't play an instrument, or why they stopped to play an instrument. And there was all the obvious reasons that you can imagine. I don't have time, or I don't have, it's too expensive, I don't have people to play with, whatever. So we targeted this school at all these imagined obstacles. So it was, they could learn music anytime, all week long, 24 hours, when they wanted, any genre. So they didn't have to start with, the classics, and by the end of the first year to be able to play a Telemann piece or whatever. If they said, I want to learn Dixieland, they learned Dixieland. And we created small orchestras, ensembles from the people who learn music, and obviously this was subsidized financially as well, so it wasn't expensive. But now the program is over. There's no more subsidies, but it's still going on. So the people kept learning music.
Nice. Maybe one example from your experience, Sarah?
Okay, I can give two while I was listening to, because I think they're different.
Good.
Relevant. When it comes to inclusion and some kind of continuity, I think I would really say proudly that the biggest success is this merging of infrastructural developments, what we did with the practical use. So one of the projects which was in the bid book was creating a cultural stations, and those were like objects which were in a very bad condition, and they were transformed into cultural centers. So they all run really well, but a couple of them are really successful. For example, one was old silk factory, which was in a really bad state, and now it's transformed even before the title year into kind of post-industrial architectural look of the cultural space for exhibitions, for concerts, workshops, and etc. Then the other one was old Austro-Hungarian castle, which was in a really bad state, which is again transformed into a cultural station, and the projects are still continuing over there. That part of the legacy, to say it like that, is continuing, and the good thing about it is because it was made to decentralize culture, because people are pretty much always going into big cultural centers, operas, institutions, in order to experience culture. And these places are unknown to public, decentralized, but they were there for the neighborhood. So basically they were created to bring in the people from the neighborhood who are not into art. So it's this non-elitistic approach, which I really like, to bring the community in. So in the practical level, that's, I think, the most important one. And in terms of
are these places still running?
yeah,
now,
they're
in
still
terms of-
running, and I
yeah.
think that's
and
why.
like, can you did the city buy them, or did they give support? Are they still supporting?
Well,
them?
they're funded by the city,
Okay.
and also they also have opportunity because they're part of the cultural center. So they were before it was not really super clear what the model will be, but the city recognized it as one of the big impacts of European capital culture. So they made a sustainable model. They are a part, the branch of the cultural center, and they have their own budget for the year. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Mato, I'm wondering, what are you working on in terms of programming, inclusive and diverse? Are there already some thoughts? What strategy are you focusing on there? If there is something you can say about it already.
Well, already when you are making the bid book, you should have the overall idea of how the cultural program should look like, to offer the majority of projects, to give the impression of what people will expect of your city. Of course, this can evolve, this can change a lot, because you only propose a short ideas of what you want to do. When we were approaching it in Nikšić, we tried to be participatory, to try to involve as much people, not just people from the cultural scene, but also locals, to try to understand what are the problems they have, and then to try to have the culture and our programs answer to this kind of local problems, obstacles, visions, ideas. We had funny situations, because this is not in our mentality, this participatory kind of approach to programming. And then, for example, we had a lot of jealousy, because people in our countries, I guess also Macedonia probably, they don't really believe in co-creation and in common projects. So we all sit together, and now we think of a project, and it doesn't belong to you or to me. It's the idea of all of us, because everybody wants to, especially in the smaller communities like Nikšić, everybody wants to own a project and to say, this was my idea. And then you have a situation, for example, that we have 5 different people proposing to make murals on buildings, thinking that is really creative. And then all of these 5 groups consider that it was their idea and nobody else. And if somebody else proposed it, then somebody stole their idea. So this is kind of obstacles.
It's a competitive approach.
Yeah. So this kind of problems with programming we had were when we have these ideas, and then what we did, we took individual projects and then we merged them together, made big projects out of them, put all of these people as collaborants, partners, and so on. But actually, we made sure that none of the projects, or almost none, belongs to a concrete person or organization. You are involved, but it's not yours.
Yeah.
And so it was hard for people to understand, but it will make it easy for us now, I hope, to continue now in the next year, and for Skopje probably also in the next year. We need to revisit it, to go through this, and to see now with, of course, the team that will be reinforced with a lot of experts from all of the different artistic fields and to see what is manageable, what is not, what should be upgraded. Because, of course, Bitbook is, as Sara says, a list of wishes. You know, you can write paper. We have papir trpi sve, so paper can take everything, but if you need to realize it, then you get practical problems. And we also have like 40% of budget for the new open calls that will happen in the 2 years before the event for the micro granting and some smaller projects and also a few big projects. So when you make the bid book, you need to deal with only the people that are interested and with a limited amount of time. And then now a lot more people is interested and you need to find a space for them to try to fit them in what you already imagined. So this is now a big obstacle. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And Violetta, wondering, from your research perspective, governmental, cultural policy perspective, when you're thinking about Skopje now, what would be your approach, advice in terms of being inclusive in this current?
Listening this last comment about this ownership and everybody wants to keep for themselves, one thing that I learned in Finland is how not to compete but collaborate. And they're really a good example. We can learn a lot from the Nordic countries about that. That yes, and this is part of this shifting paradigm I'm talking. This needs to happen in our mental map, so that nobody will, attack you if you are sharing your ideas. So there is space for everybody, particularly in this case for Skopje. So I think we should learn to trust a little bit more to each other, particularly for those who will work together. Of course, it's very difficult to gain trust with the politicians because we had a lot of examples that there is a lot of promises, but at the end, nothing. So I remember we still, the organization I was running, we got a grant, a signed grant from the Minister of Culture, and we never got the money. So these things happening in the Balkans and in Macedonia. I don't know if still this happening, but what is promised, sometimes it's really challenging to see the reality of it. So thinking about collaboration, it's one thing. Then capacity building. Capacity building, it's really important. Even in the consortium, the team that will work, they need to develop their capacities. And we need to learn, I think, in Macedonia that I'm not the perfect one and I don't know everything. When we realize that I still can learn something and be open for that, I think many things can change. And I will give you an example from Oulu, which is culture capital now in 1 month starting in 26, which is north of Finland. They absorb all of our students because this is our master program in arts management, it's the only one in Finland. They absorbed all students and all alumni for 26, everybody is engaged there because they need skilled, capable people to realize all projects. But going back to concepts and projects, I think here tomorrow the team and people need to be absorbed and created teams that will lead all of this. Third things, I think most urgent thing is how to absorb European money. There is no grant, still not grant for European money for culture capital. So as far as I understood, maybe I'm wrong, but as far as I understood, the biggest part of the budget it's coming from the government and from the city of Skopje. But there is such a great possibility to absorb millions of euros for this. But somebody needs to sit and write those applications and need to be responsible for that. Because European money you cannot handle, as we are used to hear, tenders and kind of very cloudy procedures and nobody knows where the money and reporting, evaluation and data. The other things you didn't mention, but data collection is also very important. Because we can learn from those experience, even from now or tomorrow or yesterday in Skopje, data collection is really important. If we want to create strategies, new strategies, we need to have some data. There is no data here in Macedonia. We don't know what kind of capacities, first of all those organizations has. Not to talk about security and accessibility. Analyze this building. If you want to bring something on the first floor, how people with disability will go? There is no standards for accessibility, first of all, in the existing infrastructure. So there is a lot of infrastructural things that need to be handled immediately now if we want to really fulfill the European standards. So there is a lot of things, but I still believe that if there is a will, first of all, political will, and of course, if we are ready, all of us, to change our mental map and be open a little bit and trust a little bit more, then things can go in the right direction.
Thank you for your comments, because it kind of started the end of our conversation already, unfortunately. Before we go into like a last round of recommendations and legacy thoughts, I want to actually ask the question, who in the audience is artist from Macedonia? Yeah, there are a couple. Okay, two, three. Okay. Artists in general from somewhere else? Some others there. Okay, who works in, like music industry as an agent, booker, festival? Okay, what did I miss? Media. Ah, yeah, also that's also important. Good. Okay, cool. Just so we know, so it's who's from Macedonia? Okay, good. Thank you for sharing. Is there anyone that has a very urgent question?
I have a question.
If you keep it do we have a mic for this?
Yes.
Cool. We love it. There is a question and there is a question. Let's take two of these questions and then we make the last rounds.
After all this experience of the City of Culture, last 20, 30 years...
Can you introduce yourself for a second?
I'm Petr Zataljski from Skopje, I'm producer.
Yes.
I'm very short question, okay? After 20, 30 years of City of Culture, okay, why is this City of Culture is important for Skopje and for our society?
It's a valid question. Why is it important?
Well, I think it's what you make out of it. It's a great platform to internationalize the country in terms of different events and cultural exchanges. As many of us mentioned, it's really good to create this more open and participatory approach to NGOs, institutions, and international artists to collaborate together and to bring this kind of transformation in the city, for example, so that a place like this is not empty unless it's a PIN conference happening, to kind of really shake up the city in that sense. But again, to make it sustainable, and that's the biggest challenge even Novi Sad is facing now, is it really just like a dream that after European Capital Culture things will really be different? It depends on a lot of things. It depends on politics, it depends on the money, whether there will be for the legacy, it depends on the people involved in the process. So there's not like a straight line to say, hey, you do it like this and then things will be great for you. I think it's something which is the process. And as many of us mentioned here, all of us actually, it's for the people of the city. And I think this is the most important, maybe even a conclusion, not before I don't want to jump into that.
We can connect it with the conclusion now, it's fine.
It's really for the city. It shouldn't be for the outsiders. We should thank European Union and Commission for the opportunity to guide us that we can actually do it, because people think you mentioned EU funds, yes, that we apply for the funds of Creative Europe, IPA, Visegrad, or whatever the funds there is, but European Union will not give you the money unless you kind of earn it. Because this is just the title, and that's something which I think is the biggest confusion. A lot of people think that European Union is giving a lot of money for the city. They're giving the guidance and the title, this kind of a prestige, and the opportunity to really commit to what you promised in the bid book and to make sure that you're like a relevant player in the European cultural map. And I think it's really great for the reputation and for the continuity of successful cultural developments of the city.
I would, okay, one short comment.
May I just what add, because this is a really why we are doing this.
Yeah.
It's a crucial question. Why culture then? Why culture? It's important for our art and culture. It's important for the human being lives. Because these impressions from art made us more rich people, and it affects our well-being. So with carefully designed program, I think all people can be touched and their lives can be more rich, if I can say in 2 words, in 2 sentences. Yeah. It's not that simple, but
quick.
The value of arts and culture is important for our lives, for our existence, actually.
I couldn't agree more. And your question tackled, it is a very valid and important question that leads us, into concluding, and someone is probably looking at me and turning off the mics in a second.
I have to add something. I talked to the mayor in Veszprém last week, and it's a very good answer for people who don't believe in culture. That the European Capital of Culture, it's not just about culture. The mayor told me that before we got the title, that he doesn't care really about the culture. He cares about, the young people not moving out of the city, to have enough doctors in the hospital. And now last week he told me that the applicants for the local university, the number has doubled since the European Capital of Culture. We have 5 times as much applications for the vacant jobs in the local hospital. Real estate prices increased because people are moving in, not moving away from the city. So from a social perspective, this is very important. And another important thing is, and this was also one of the main ambitions behind Veszprém's bid, is that what Violetta said. If you want to know the main difference between, let's say, Western Europe and Eastern Europe, why Western Europe is more successful historically, it's collaboration. And collaboration, cooperation, the culture of cooperation, it's about trust. The level of trust in our region, it's unfortunately very low. And culture is one of the earliest models of cooperation of people. When people play music together, that's kind of the highest level of cooperation, for example. But not just that. Also, if you dance, if you sing together, and broader culture, sports, games, whatever as well. So through culture, we can build trust and the sense of collaboration.
What shall I say now? It's almost a perfect ending already. Mato, is there anything that you would like to add?
Yeah, well, I can say that it's a really good question and it's completely logical. And we have a lot of it too in Nikšić, when people understand that it's not some big millions from Europe automatically coming to your city, then they ask, what is it? Then actually it doesn't make sense. So it is a brand. And it can be nothing, and it can be a lot. And it depends on, it's a tool, because brands are powerful stuff. It's a tool that you can use to attract funds, to attract tourists, to change the perspective of your city in the nation or in the region, or to do nothing of that. It depends on how ready you are to use this brand. For example, for Nikšić, you were talking about cooperation. Now we have a network of serious organizations from all around Europe interested to collaborate with us. And 2 years ago, nobody of them knew where Nikšić is on a map. And it's a big possibility, because when we write a mail and we say we are contacting you on behalf of the European Capital of Culture, it opens some doors, and also politically, and also in all of different ways. So if you know how to use this tool, it can make a lot for you, but by itself it's nothing. You need to know what you want to do with it.
Violetta, and then...
If I can banalize this discussion about why culture or art, it's important. there is figures, mental health, etc., etc., etc. But in the end, there is opportunity to get money for that, and for 1 year. So why not to use it and change the system? So we really need to be stupid not to use this opportunity. So it's rare. It's happening one in a lifetime probably for the cities, and there is money available, and we need to use this, but of course in meaningful and useful way. We cannot just do as we did in the last period in Macedonia, you know, just a few people, tenders, and etc., etc. It needs to be a little bit more open and more collaborative and more strategically visionary. We need to really, we need people with vision here, and people who know how to reach the aims without putting the personal interest in front.
Yeah, just to add on to
Last point,
getting money from Europe, like when you're European Capital of Culture, because it's the biggest cultural project in Europe, in Creative Europe, then you have a lot of opportunities to find good partners to apply for really big funds and to, as you mentioned, get money not only for culture but also for infrastructure, for different like procurement of equipment, etc., etc. Novi Sad really did good in that, and that's I think one of the biggest legacies. More than a couple of million euros obtained from only
Can
that.
we take the other question, Logan, or shall we stop?
Yes, the mayor of
Okay,
Skopje.
we take the other question and then we wrap it up. Thank you for your question and yours, please. Can you introduce yourself first?
Yes, of course. Marko Josifovski, I work as a booker, promoter, but mainly I work social media. So both of the things after the artists. A lot of things. First and foremost, Makaca has an elevator. Thank you, Balázs, for the commercial way how we can use it. Because with your comment, we started with the money. And next, for Nikšić, I would really like to know if you guys have a similar thing as Novi Sad. Did you manage to get a old factory building, something to take it from the previous owners? Not to make it like a squat, but to make it like a cultural institution worthy of 2020 something. And for Sara, is there a chance that we could maybe open source see these things where you transform the factory? Is there a chance to see the projects? Is there a chance to see the application just for the know-how? Because we tried and we failed so many times. And then for everybody, why should we change so much but not the people in power? Thanks.
That was not one question, it was 5, okay? that was not the deal. Do we have that time, Logan, or shall we take it off stage? 3 minutes. Can each one of you, in 2 words, answer those questions? You go. Can we share it?
Yeah, we can share. You can also go online, see cultural stations Novi Sad.
But you can also talk after. We
can talk, but
connect after this
just
panel.
for the brief one, it's all online,
Yes.
so you can look.
Yeah, so there is a lot of ECOX building infrastructure and then not using them for anything. So for example, you have this center, but as I understood, it was not used before, and now after this it will not be used. So if you don't need the infrastructure, it is better to use the existing and to improve it. And that's what we are planning to do. We are having a big project in the middle of Nikšić. There is a big socialist, brutalist building that was never finished, Dom Revolucije. And we are now having a big project trying to revitalize it and to become a center. And all of the other infrastructure projects, it's all about finding the existing infrastructure, as you said, factories or industrial spaces, and making use of them.
So the answer is also yes, good.
No, so we are going to be the European capital.
Yeah,
so,
it will
and
be in 2030.
It is connected, yeah.
So it's
connected
in
to
the
this
planning
project.
process, if I understand it right. So you are integrating this already. Balázs,
Yeah.
your answer?
But actually, Veszprém had a similar project, an old furniture factory was refurbished. What was the question about changing the politicians exactly?
May I answer that?
I'm interested.
Well, I was talking about this radical creativity and paradigm shifts. Well, we have elections. We had elections, and we can change the people in power then. But in between, the question is how we're dealing with, because we have already 30 years of very similar strategies and implementation of ideas, etc., etc. So how to really shift this, how to have a dialogue with those people in power. And next time thinking who we are voting for and why.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I may add something, I mean, as a European Capital of Culture team, you obviously have to cooperate with politicians. And that's not easy, not always easy, but you have to understand they have different perspectives. Sometimes they have a win is a different thing for them than for you. You need to find a common ground. You also need to be able to sell your ideas in a way that politicians see it a win as well. And it doesn't, I mean, it's obviously it's a fine line not to make big compromises, but also being able to harmonize these two very different words. But it's possible. I mean, it depends on both sides, but it's possible, okay. And it's worth the effort. And don't also remember, you can change them, but they can also change you, which is absolutely counterintuitive. So to the politicians, I suggest that once you select a team, keep with them, because I've seen many cities who changed, I don't know, director half a year before they started, just because there were elections and there was a new mayor, and you know, it's the animalistic instinct. So this is my hunting ground now, so I'm changing everybody. It's a very bad idea. It's always leads to failure.
Thank you. Let's take the rest off stage.
Yeah.
Unless it's a very important comment.
No,
short.
Just to, I don't think so that we can change much politicians, but we can sensibilize them about the importance of what we are doing. Yeah. So inviting them in our taking part, understand what we are talking about, because usually we are having politicians, at least in our countries here in the Balkans, that they absolutely have no clue what we are talking about. So sensibilizing them, it's a process, and it's a learning process for everybody, I think.
We've touched upon a lot of things, and I'm very grateful for all of you sharing your wisdom and the two very on point, 5, 6 questions that we had. Thank you. All of us are going to be here for the rest of the day and also tomorrow. Grab us and talk to us or ask further questions, or also go to Logan and tell him things. But like, I really hope that Skopje will turn this around and bring this forward and bring this into a very transparent and inclusive process. I hope you have a meeting tomorrow with the mayor.
I hope so. They invited me to go tomorrow and to
there
talk
are some things moving, but of course also it's kind of quite late in the process, but we really hope, we've heard a lot of positive examples to use it for the greater good. But of course, it's a big discussion, as you have heard. I'm very grateful, and I've also been very inspired by everything that you have said. And thank you all for listening and being here. Thank you. Voila.
Thank you for moderating.
Thank you all.
Yes.